here, let's shift gears and talk about. Actually, nothing in my list of stories is funny. I don't think any of it's funny. But if there's something funny to be said about today's news, it would be Sean Spicer's epic fail. Let's take a listen to Sean Spicer. It's so painful, I don't even want to describe it. Let's just listen to him.
It makes you think that at this point he's going to pull back in his support for President Assad and for the Syrian government right now?
I think a couple things. You look, we didn't use chemical weapons in World War II. You know, you had someone as despicable as Hitler, who didn't even sink to using chemical weapons. So you have to, if you're Russia, ask yourself: is this a country that you and a regime that you want to align yourself with? You have previously signed on to international agreements, rightfully acknowledging that the use of chemical weapons should be out of bounds by every country. To not stand up to not only Assad, but your own word should be troubling.
I just want to give you the opportunity to clarify something you said that seems to be getting some traction right now. Quote, Hitler didn't even sink to the level of using chemical weapons. What did you mean by that?
I think when you come to sarin gas, he was not using the gas on his own people the same way that Assad is doing. I mean, there was clearly.
It gets worse.
Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate that. There was not in the. He brought him into the Holocaust Center. And I understand that, but I'm saying in the way that Assad used them, where he went into towns, dropped them down to innocent into the middle of towns. It was brought to so the use of it. And I appreciate the clarification there. That was not the intent.
I don't know what to say about this. What's that? Is that Godwin's law? That the longer you talk about a conversation, the longer you argue about something on the internet, the more likely someone is going to reference Hitler or compare someone to Hitler. I think we've crossed that threshold with Sean Spicer. Here's a pro tip for anyone who's ever done media or doing media. There's only one Hitler, right? And there's never for the sake of your career, there's no one worse than Hitler. Let's just put it like that, right? That's the safest bet. That's number one. Number two, you're doing bad when Alex Jones and Paul Joseph Watson of InfoWars, the chemtrails people, the Pizzagate contingency, when they have to call you out, Sean Spicer. I mean, you're literally worse today than the lizard monster Alex Jones. You know, I don't know if this is a case of people are trying to parse whether or not he was trying to be racist or be a Holocaust denier. I don't know. To me, the thing that stands out about this is that this is what happens when you run your mouth. When you just run your mouth and let anything come out and you're not prepared and you haven't really thought this through and you go for the dramatics. When you try to go for the dramatics. So to me, this is a complete failing of a person who is supposed to be the chief communicator for the president of the United States. Now, considering who the president of the United States is, this actually might make sense, right? This is par for the course. So as if it wasn't painful enough, let me read again what he said. He said, we didn't use chemical weapons in World War II. You had someone as despicable as Hitler who didn't even sink to using chemical weapons. Well, yeah, I mean, millions of people were killed with using chemical weapons. Okay. Anyway, let me keep. So you have to, if you're Russia, ask yourself: is this a country? This is Sean Spicer speaking. That you want to align yourself with? You have previously signed on to international agreements. Blah 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 blah. He came back to try to clarify, and by clarifying it, he actually made it worse. This is when he used the phrase Holocaust centers versus concentration camps versus the gas showers. I mean, versus any number of more accurate ways to just like, what the hell is what is a Holocaust center? Like, the Holocaust center sounds like somewhere you go to remember, right? It's like a museum you go to remember the atrocities of the Holocaust. Where the hell did he pull? Okay, so it gets worse. He actually said in a statement later, he said, I in no way was trying to lessen the horrendous nature of the Holocaust. I was trying to draw a distinction. Well, that's where you failed. You know, don't try to draw a distinction between anyone living and Hitler. Anyone dead and Hitler. Don't try to draw a distinction. But let me read his quote. He said, quote, I was trying to draw a distinction of the tactic of using airplanes to drop chemical weapons on population centers. Any attack on innocent people is reprehensible and inexcusable. He still didn't get it right until later on CNN when he said, I obviously was trying to make a point about the heinous acts that Assad has made and against his own people last week, using chemical weapons and gas. Frankly, I mistakenly made an inappropriate and insensitive reference to the Holocaust for which there is no comparison. Ding, 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 ding. And for that, I apologize. It was a mistake to do that. Yes, it was, Sean. The Anne Frank Center is calling for Sean to be fired. Quite a lot of voices out there are saying that Sean needs to be fired. If for no other reason than being a grossly incompetent communicator. This is absolutely not something that you pay someone probably $200,000 a year, if not more, to be the lead chief communicator for the White House. So if for no other reason, I mean, it makes total sense that he would lose his job over this. But something tells me that's not going to happen because he's exactly who Donald Trump wants, needs, and has in place.